All righty. Good afternoon, everyone. Here today with Joe. Joe, thanks for joining us today. Good to see you, man.
I'm super excited to be here.
How is life in well, I mean we're kind of in the same business. So how was your morning, Joe, since we haven't had a chance to speak
It
yet?
was good. It was nice to see you this morning and to do some strategy. It's been really interesting, with all the cool things that are happening in the business now. So I'm just
Yeah.
really excited with everything. I got to take this distraction. I had us over here too, so it was like very distracting. I had to take this away.
Well, I have a problem with my monitor setup, right? Because I got the presentation on the middle screen, and then I wanted you got the presenter view, so I wanted the presenter view over on my little screen off to the side. But no, now it's putting you off to the side and the presenter view right in front of me, which I don't even need. But anyway, so if I look off to the side, oh my gosh! And then I sent out a newsletter with a bad link today. It's just like, oh, there's so many little things going on. But it's all
It just
fun,
means
right?
that we're growing. That's all
Yeah.
that means, and that we're really thankful to all the people that are participating in that growth and joining our courses and all the cool things that we have going on. And for those of you, I'm still getting LinkedIn messages for people who wanted to sign up for the CISA training. You can still get it, so don't miss it. Don't miss
Yeah,
it.
so that's a really good, Carla,
Yeah.
if you can drop that. So Carla's in the background today. She's there. Carla, maybe just drop that starkromance.com/cyber into the chat as well, so people have access to that. That's available. We have the recordings available, and it was really good information. And I do, there are a couple of issues with the transcription. So just so that you know, like there's a really funny one that I can't remember what it is, but where something is completely wrong, but you get the general idea. And we've got links to all the templates up there and all that good stuff. So go take a look at that. There's no charge for that. You just sign up, and then you actually get into our community as well, so you can say hi and chat with some other MSPs and yeah, have a bit of fun with it. So today, though, we are actually not going to talk about cybersecurity, Joe.
No, not even.
So one of the questions that does come up is, how do I get a read on how happy my clients or my customers are with our service? How do you know how happy they are? And and this is a really important thing to get at and to engage with, and it's important to give people the opportunity to respond. This along with strategic business reviews, so doing regular strategic business reviews, and then checking the sort of the temperature of customer satisfaction is going to really give you good insight into what's working and what's not working. But Joe, we haven't rehearsed this, so I don't know if you if you know what the big answer to this is. But what's the problem with asking clients about how happy they are? Like the fundamental problem.
Well, the fundamental problem is that they're always going to say, "Yeah, everything is fine," unless they have, or if they're having a bad time, they're just going to give you the bad stuff. So,
well, there's another issue that comes up. So that's true, right? And we'll talk a little bit about that. And this method actually compensates for over good or over bad, right? But the other problem that you have is people just don't answer. So you go out and you ask people, hey, if you ask them in person, then they're always going to do what you say, right? That there's a tendency for human beings to just want to please other human beings. So if I go to you and I say, hey, Joe, how am I doing?
Oh, you're doing great, Jeff. You're so awesome. You're the best. You're the best ever.
And in his mind, he's like, how do I get rid of this guy? He's like driving me nuts, right? So you gotta like remove that personal engagement. But at the same time, if you give people long surveys, they don't answer the survey. So then you don't get any information and you're stuck. And this is actually a problem that Bain and Company dealt with a long time ago. And I imagine the way this came up is some intern. I always see it as the intern, right? The intern sits down and says, well,
it's always the intern.
Well, yeah, exactly. They're like, because they ask the stupid questions. They're like, well, instead of asking 100 questions, what if we just ask one? And then everybody says, no, you can't. No, we can't do that. Just one. How could we do that? And then they say, well, I don't know. Maybe let's give it a try. And it turns out that if you ask this one question, you actually get really good responses. So it's sort of a question plus a follow-up. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to talk about that question, how you calculate your customer satisfaction score. And then I'm going to get into some of the nitty-gritty around how we've implemented it. And I'm going to put together a little training on how to implement this. And you can sign up for that training. It's not done yet, but I'm going to put that together, and then you can put this together for you.
But if you want to get in the waiting list, make sure you ping Jeff on LinkedIn like a maniac.
Well, so
sorry, did I say that? I was just thinking that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, ping Jeff like a maniac. There you go. That's this. So, but we will put in. You can go to startgrowmanage.com/subscribe, and Carla will drop that in the chat as well. So you can go there to subscribe. I'm very happy for you to wait until the end before I've proven to you my worth, right? Or you can ping me like crazy on LinkedIn. I mean, that's good for my exposure. So let's get into it. All right. Without further ado, Joe, stop making jokes. Carla, can you share the screen? Right. So what we are talking about is Net Promoter Score. Okay. So this is a very simple metric that gives you an idea. It allows you to take that temperature of how you are doing. And it's all based on one very simple, straightforward question. And that is, how likely is it that you would recommend your organization, your product, your service, whatever, to a friend or colleague? And there's just something about asking it this way that promotes some honesty, right? It's like, no, I don't want to do it, or yeah, I'd be happy to promote you. You know, like this question just seems to work really well. And I don't actually know when Bain started doing this, but it's been around for my career, 2003, right? So a good 20 years, and I've used this in a number of situations, and it really gives you great information.
Yeah.
So and Bain has found that, and lots of organizations have found that, and lots of large organizations use it. And I will bet you have seen this question before, Joe.
Well, every cell phone carrier has it right after you call them.
Right.
Like right after you call them, you get this question.
And you always wish you had a 00, like absolutely freaking not, no way, right? But I know my insurance companies too, but large companies are going to ask this question. But it's also great for consultants, and it is a crucial one for managed service providers. Now, here's how it works. Okay, so what you want to do is you ask this question, and then you give them an immediate score 0 to 10, and so they just click on one of those buttons, 0 to 10. And if they click a 9 to 10, we call them a promoter, right? So they are very excited about your product. If they're a 7 to 8, then they're passive, right? And anything below a 7, we call them a detractor. Okay, so this is, Joe, skewed towards detractors. Maybe you've noticed.
Yeah.
Right. And this is partly how we adjust for that fundamental problem that you brought up earlier around, people, they don't want to give you a 0 unless you're a cell phone company or health insurance. They want to be nicer, so they might give you a 5 or a 6. And what this does is say, well, a 5 or a 6, it's really a 0. You kind of want emphatic versus not emphatic.
Yeah.
So this biases the entire survey towards detractors. and this is kind of an important part of how the Net Promoter Score works. And the beautiful thing about it is, if you set this up right, you basically one click and you're done, right? One click, and then they get the result. So it's very easy for people to respond.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show you how we make that work in an email. And then you have, people in your organization like Joe who then respond, and they're like 10. Like, dude, stop. You're messing with my
Oh,
you're messing with my results here, right?
I couldn't help myself. I had to do it. I knew I was gonna mess with you, so I had to.
Really? All right. So now let's look at this. So what we do is we've got these scores. Now, how do we actually calculate NPS? So Net Promoter Score is the percentage of promoters minus the percentage of detractors. So let's say you send this out and 70% of the people are in 9 to 10 and 10% of the people are in like the 6 or below range. So your NPS is 60. All right. So Joe, what do you see about that? Anything stand out? I know you're not really a math guy.
Yeah.
But 70% plus 10% is how many percent?
It's 80.
Is 80%, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that means that the other 20%, they
Yeah.
answered passive. They're in that passive range. And we just ignore passive.
Completely.
Completely. We just pretend that they don't exist because they're passive. No, it's for calculating the NPS. That's what you want, right? You want the number of promoters minus the number of detractors to get to your NPS. So again, we're ignoring passive. So again, we're biasing this towards the negative, right? We're not biasing this towards the positive. We're biasing it towards the negative, so that you have to perform really well to get a good NPS, right? Which is why when you look at what a good NPS score is, generally above 0 is a good score. That means you have more promoters than detractors if it's above 0, right?
Yeah.
Above 20 is good. Above 50 is excellent, and above 80 is world class. Okay. Verizon languishes somewhere around the -35. That's and that's actually not a joke. The companies like that, they are really working to get to a 0, right?
Yeah.
Like they're not even looking at what the how could I get to like a 90, and ours is like 95, right? So
Yeah.
so are we world class? Well, so remember, the whole idea here is that this is biased towards negativity, which is why we end up with that with that issue. But then, I also want to say, oops, but the truth is, if you're a small business, you're probably going to be, above 80. You probably know your clients pretty well, and you're probably communicating with them pretty regularly. So like if you're below 80, you're probably
Yeah.
there's probably a problem, right?
It's probably a problem. And that's because, if you're a small business, the likelihood is that you mostly know all of your clients by name.
Right.
Or if the name of a company pops up, you know who they are. You know who they are. Verizon, the service manager of Verizon has no idea who anybody is.
Correct. and that's and
so
that's
getting
like
to 0 is a good thing. Like you get to 0,
right.
You're like, yeah, this is good.
Right.
This is great.
So like this is the rule. But I would say that, for you, for your business, certainly for us, like the fact that we're 95 just means that, well, I mean, we do a really good job. So there's that. But the other thing is, we are constantly talking to our clients. So you want to make sure that you have a good score. You learn a lot from the detractor scores, and you actually learn a lot from the passive scores. And one of the ways that you learn that is actually by asking a second question. So I know I said there was one question, and that is the one question, right? That is the one question that you want to ask. But it's always good to ask a follow-up question, something along these lines of, why did you give us this score? What can we do better? Do you have any additional comments? And then you can ask permission to follow up.
Yep.
And what you'll actually find is that because you've made it so easy to answer the first question, and because they have answered the first question, they're more likely to follow up. So if you just ask them lots of questions and then bombard them with these, they're not going to answer you. Yep. But because they've answered the NPS score, they're more likely to answer one of these follow-up questions. And I only ask one, right? We only ask one, because otherwise it's just too many. Yeah. And then we ask for the permission to follow up. And you learn a lot from these comments. This just is one of the most valuable sources of customer information that I've ever discovered. Really Carla, can you stop sharing the screen for 1 second, please?
And one of the things that you'll notice, especially with the cell phone companies, is that if you answer above 8, they usually never ask you the second question. They're like, okay, you're good. But if you answer below 8, you almost guaranteed get that second question.
Yes.
Right? Which is, what can we do better? Or, right. What can we do to improve? Or, how do we get you to a 9?
Right.
Like they will try to figure it out and get some feedback from you. And most of the time, if I've taken the time to answer that question, nice, Jeff. I heard the background. So most of the time, if I've taken the time to answer that question, I will take the time to answer the second question, because for some reason, how it occurs to me as the end user, it's that it's in my benefit to answer the question, right? Because they asked me, would you recommend me to a friend? And I said 6. And they're like, well, why not? I'm like, I'm going to tell you why not. Exactly. Here's why not.
Yeah. Yeah. So and the other thing that you'll see is that if you do answer a 9 or a 10, right, then there's the question, hey, can you give us a recommendation? Can you leave us some sort of
testimonial?
Testimonial, right? And that's a great way to sort of build on that. On the results you have before, right? Because now you can get that testimonial. Okay, Carla, you can share my screen again. I just lost. I lost the StreamYard screen because I don't like having it over here because it just looks funny. The side of my face. Nobody wants to see the side. Nobody wants to see the front of my face, but they certainly don't want to see the side of my face. Okay, so now here's the thing. So you want to build this and you want to make it easy, and there are so many services that will do this for you, that you can build it in the email and get lots of information that way, and they cost a fortune. Like you're looking like hundreds of dollars a month to get at these results. So that's why I want to share this little tool that we discovered. I have no affiliate with them one way or the other. I just think it works really well and really concisely. And it's this Markham robot. Have you ever heard of these guys, Joe?
No, not until we started using them.
Yeah. So Markham Robot, markhamrobot.com. They got these nifty little tools. And if you go in and log in, one of them is this Survey Sense tool, right? And when you go into Survey Sense, you can set up 1 question surveys and set up your NPS score. And then as you go through life and you're asking these scores, it like calculates it for you, and it can tell you how often you're getting, how many responses you're getting, and it has a nice little dashboard, and it's not very expensive. I don't remember how much. It's like $30 a month or something. And what I really like about it is that even though it is that inexpensive, you can build the results directly into the email. So this is the email that comes out from us, right? And you can see that question is directly in the email. So you just click that link and it records the result.
And it's pretty cool. It
So
works really well.
yeah, and it works really well. We did find that we had to put in a confirmation step because of all there's
Bots.
some automatic link clickers that were causing some problems. Uh, but anyway, but still, it takes you straight there, and you're right into the question. And then the other beautiful thing that you can do is you take this and then based on the response, you can ask that next question, right? So, for example, you've selected an 8. We say, hey, we're thrilled that you're satisfied. Uh, you know, uh, what can we do? We'd appreciate any advice or comments. Or you've selected a 3. You say, well, that's a disaster. What can we do to do better? And I always put little things in there to make it a little more friendly, like, hey, that's a disaster, or make it a little bit more chatty. I do also offer here to set up a meeting and put my name in there because, if we do have somebody that's a 3 and we don't know about it, we want to talk to these people quickly and figure out where we're going wrong, because that's kind of not cool. We're not a cell phone provider, right? So this Markham robot, I recommend doing this, and then we build this in, and then Carla, if you could stop sharing again. So we build this into basically our active campaign instance, and what happens is, as soon as somebody becomes a client, they go into a queue, and then it waits 45 days, and then it sends this to them, and then we send a reminder if they don't click on anything, and then we leave them alone for 75 days, and then put them back at the top of the queue, and then they go through it again, right? So it's like this continuous thing, and they should get it. We're experimenting with time frames. 45 days was way too short. I think 75 days is a much better result, because it gives a little bit more time. And then we just sort of get these regular pulses on how people feel about the business, and that's how we do it, and it works great. I've set this up for others, and they're happy with it. So I'm going to put together a little training on exactly what you need to do going through the Markham robot stuff. And again, I'm not necessarily promoting Markham robot. You can do it with anything, but the key is to have that first question built into your email that goes out, so that the response is a one-click response, and they don't have to click somewhere and click somewhere else and then click through something, because people don't want to click so many times. And even the confirmation step that I had to put in there is kind of a compromise. I don't like that, but it's kind of where we have to be right now. So what do you think, Joe?
Well, I think that if you want to know what's happening with your customers, right, and you're not doing something like this, you miss an opportunity. Right? Like you have an opportunity. There's the two places are like what Jeff talked about before. We have the SBR course. If you haven't done it, make sure you do that, right? But those strategic business reviews, they let you know, they tell you exactly what they need in the strategic business review. This gives you another opportunity to talk to them and understand what's happening. Right. And what you'll find, sometimes somebody had a particularly bad experience that week, and they answer that and just coincidentally get the survey at that time, give you a bad rating, gives you another opportunity to make up for that bad experience that they had. Right. Because now, like Jeff said, oh, well, that's a disaster. Let's talk. Here's my email. Here's my stuff. Right. That makes a difference. What has you be effective with your clients is communicating with them. The more you communicate with them, the more effective you are with your clients. And as an MSP, it is critical that we communicate effectively with our clients and that we're solving their problems, right? And so part of being able to solve their problems is understanding what they are. So I think that that's what I think, Jeff. I think that it's a key. You got to have this.
So I'm sorry about the noise. I don't know what it is, but like for whatever reason, when I start something like this, somebody, the guy next door pulls out the leaf blower. I think there must be like a little sign that says "blow leaves now."
I
right?
think he follows you on LinkedIn.
He
And the
must.
second
There's no
this is
other
full-
explanation. Anyway, so let me know. So Carla, just mute me again if it's too loud. But David, yes, I think asking in every single interaction tends to be too much. But certainly with anything where there's a problem solving, where you're talking about a ticket, I would do it for all tickets, right? Having that kind of response, and again, Markham Robot actually helps a lot with that. Has that same thing built in. You there is an issue right now, however, with the spam filters clicking every link. So we do have the problem that when we put that in, every link in the email gets clicked. So you get the yes and the no, and very helpful and not very helpful at the same time. So you have to kind of put that confirmation step in there and not record it unless it's confirmed. But when it comes to understanding like the usefulness of the responses that you're giving, then including that information can be is very valuable, and you can get some really good insights as a result of that. Especially when it comes to customer service and tickets and that sort of thing.
What Jeff said.
And again, you just make it easy, right? You have a happy face and a not so happy face and a frowny face, and they click on that, and then you get the results, and that gives you the kind of information that you need to then improve your responses.
Very, very cool.
All right. Any other questions? Thanks, David. So remember, if you are interested, just go. I don't have a special landing page for this. If I'm honest, I just ran out of time. So go to starkrowmanage.com/subscribe, and I will eventually send out probably next week the training put together on this is how to integrate NPS, and I'll show you how I did it in our active campaign, and you can use any email service for that, and give you some tips on how to use Markham Robot. And might even look at how to integrate Microsoft Forms. It could also be a good one, but we'll put something together like that. So if you're interested in that, subscribe here. And other than that, I think that's the whole thing. I hope you guys found this helpful and useful. Next, Lunch and Learn. So we are not doing this next week. But I am planning a series, and what we want to look at as part of preparing for 2025 is how you can use the news and headlines for free marketing.
So good.
Right? So how you tie in the headlines and news for free marketing. And the plan is to kick that off on the 14th. And we'll see exactly how that goes. But I want to do it a series of 3, and really give you the tools to make it work. Yeah, I see you're right. So the next Lunch and Learn, Carla, is actually November 14th, not July 14th. So it's not 0714. Yeah, woohoo! Wow, that's real time. I love that little Chiron spot. It works well. Yeah, 11:14, not 7:14. And David, no, you got to bring your own lunch. This is virtual, man.
BYOL.
BYOL. So anyway, stay tuned to learn more about that little thing that we have coming up, so that you can get ready to crush 2025. And other than that, hey Joe, you want to take us out?
Well, get ready to crush 2025, and remember that you are loved. We'll see you soon.
All right, everybody. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for joining us, and a special thanks to our subscribers. Consider becoming one right now and tap into our insights and instincts to help drive your business vision and success. Remember, you didn't start your business to feel frustration. You started it for freedom. we can help you discover the impact, freedom, and wealth you always imagined. Learn more at startgrowmanage.com/learn more.